A tier-based strategy in fantasy football drafts helps fantasy football players identify values at all positions, especially when it comes to quarterbacks. Here with us to break down our quarterback tiers is SI fantasy analyst Shawn Childs and also Saints News Network Kyle Mosley. Shawn, I'm going to go to you first. You and I talk about rankings a lot, and part of our ranking strategy is grouping these players into tiers. So when you're looking at quarterbacks, Lamar Jackson, Patrick Mahomes, sure, they're on the top tier. But then after that, there's quite a bit of drop off. Where does Drew Brees fit in the tiers for your upcoming 2020 rankings?
I have him in the 10 to 12th range. It's interesting that the quarterback position is it's the ADPs and the tiers. The players that have a high upside and explosive players in the passing game. And Brees has a long resume of passing for 30 touchdowns, 4,500 yards, even 5,000 some years. But the Saints will run the ball a lot this year, so he might have a step back in touchdowns. I got him for 4,300 yards and 31 TDs, which is pretty conservative out of the gate. And I think some of his ranking is a little lower because some of those mid-tier running quarterbacks will run the ball and score some rushing touchdowns. Really score, they get almost double points for those, a little bit, point and a half for the touchdowns in 4-point TD leagues, passing TD leagues. So Breeze is one of those guys that you're going to target a little later. He's in that probably in that third tier of guys that could be especially at home. He's a really really great play. But he could have more upside, especially if Emmanuel Sanders steps up and he gets more production from the tight end position in the passing game.
Shawn, Kyle, let me go over to you. What do you make of Drew Brees' 2020 projections? Are you expecting him to maintain that Hall of Fame level caliber kind of play in this year?
Yeah, it's Super Bowl or bust. I just got off a media call with Teron Armstead. That's what he said about Breeze as well as the team. These guys are focused. They are locked into the season. You can hear from Sean Payton as well with his media call. Look, Drew Brees had a drop off because he had injury. But Drew Brees is still Drew Brees. Those guys know that in his 20th season that he has to be able to get these guys not just to the playoffs, not just to the Super Bowl, but win the Super Bowl. I expect with Emmanuel Sanders, Cook, as well as the addition of the young tight end Troutman, those guys will still be throwing the ball this season in 2020.
Yeah, as we take a look at Brees' stats here, he only played in 11 games in 2019, but was still able to connect on 27 touchdown passes, just 4 interceptions. But as Shawn did mention, Brees is not running the ball. So guys like Josh Allen, Kyler Murray, Dak Prescott might be ranked a little bit ahead of him. You can see our quarterback rankings on our custom cheat sheets by going to si.com/fantasy.